Chosen one, have you ever wondered why the very people who should have loved you the most couldn't? Why the ones who shared your blood seemed blind to your worth, deaf to your heart, and unable to embrace the fire within you? That question has haunted you in the silence of nights, in the weight of your own doubts, in the loneliness of wondering if something was wrong with you. But hear me now, there was never anything wrong with you. What you carried was too rare, too luminous, too eternal to be fully understood by those trapped in their own wounds. The love you longed for was withheld, not because you were unworthy, but because your spirit was marked for something greater. It wasn't rejection, it was strategy. It wasn't abandonment, it was preparation. Every tear, every silence, every cold glance became part of a higher design that separated you from the ordinary and aligned you with the eternal. And by the end of this message, you will finally see the truth. The absence of their love was not your downfall. It was your awakening. Stay with me until the last word, because what is about to be revealed will shift the way you see your past, your family, and your destiny forever. And before we go deeper, seal this moment. Press like, subscribe if you haven't already, and comment the number 99. Do you know why? Because 9 plus 9 is the number 18, and in the spirit it symbolizes a cycle closing and a new one beginning. By writing 99, you declare that the cycle of pain ends today, and a new era of divine recognition begins in your life. From the very beginning, heaven calibrated you to a higher wavelength, and that calibration created a friction you mistook for failure. It wasn't failure. It was physics of the spirit. Imagine a tuning fork struck in a room full of cracked glass. The pure tone will always reveal every fracture. That's what your presence did. Your honesty echoed, their fractures trembled, and the result looked like coldness, sarcasm, distance. But that distance was a symptom, not a verdict. You were born carrying a signal too bright for unhealed eyes, too true for rehearsed narratives, too free for inherited cages. Your frequency announced itself without a word. You walked in, and old agreements began to loosen. Patterns felt unsafe. Masks felt heavy. Secrets felt exposed. And people who had built entire identities around pain did not know how to meet a soul built around purpose. So they chose the only defense they knew: minimize you, question you, compare you, ignore you. They called it indifference. Heaven called it inability to hold the oil on your life. Your spirit operated like morning, and morning has never negotiated with shadows. Light doesn't ask darkness for permission. It arrives and everything hidden becomes obvious. That clarity threatened the fragile peace inside those who loved you through fear instead of wisdom. Your vision confronted family myths. Your hunger for truth challenged comfortable lies. Your compassion dared to go deeper than politeness, and deeper always disturbs shallow. They could not love you rightly because your presence demanded a future they weren't ready to face. Each time you tried to shrink to make them comfortable, your calling felt suffocated. Each time you tried to silence the questions in your heart, your chest burned, your sleep broke, your intuition spoke even louder. That pressure was not cruelty. It was guidance. Heaven would not allow you to merge with a current designed to keep you ordinary. So the strategy unfolded. Closed doors at key moments. Misunderstandings that pulled you aside. Celebrations where your name vanished from the toast. Birthdays where gifts felt transactional. Conversations where your deepest parts found no echo. It hurt, yes. But it was a surgical hurt, the kind that removes the splinter so the skin can close. If they had applauded you early, you would have built your life on applause. If they had protected you from every sting, you would have never grown armor for your assignment. If they had loved you perfectly, you would have confused comfort with calling and settled for a house when heaven planned a nation. Listen closely. What they could not give you was not evidence that you lacked worth. It was evidence that your design required a stronger source. Your blueprint demanded a love that does not fluctuate with mood, trauma, or comparison. Your destiny required a foundation poured from eternity, not emotion. So God allowed a precise measure of discomfort to prevent a catastrophic misalignment. You were never being punished. You were being positioned. Even the awkward family table was an altar training your discernment. You learned how to read tone beneath words, how to spot envy hidden inside jokes, how to bless without agreeing, how to be present without letting your spirit be absorbed. Those are royal skills. Kings and queens cannot be gullible. Prophets cannot be easily flattered. Healers cannot anchor their value in the people they are assigned to heal. This is why your light exposed their shadows, their fears, their limitations. Exposure is not humiliation. Exposure is opportunity. Some will step into it and transform. Others will retreat and resist. Either way, your role is not to dim your flame. Your role is to keep the flame honest. And here is the mystery that turns into revelation and then into urgency for your next step. The same frequency that repelled the unready will attract the aligned, the healed, the brave, the destined. The signal has never been the problem. The receivers are changing. Stay with me, because in a moment I will hand you the key that converts this understanding into movement. And when you turn that key, the door that never opened in your own house will swing wide in a place you haven't imagined yet. Chosen one, what you thought was absence was in fact a shield. The distance of your family was not random coldness. It was divine calculation. Imagine if they had poured love into you exactly the way you craved. Soft arms, warm words, endless approval. You might have stayed right there, building your life on a foundation too shallow to carry your destiny. Comfort would have become your prison. Familiar affection would have tethered you to cycles that heaven had already decided to break. Their silence forced you to hear another voice. Their rejection compelled you to seek a greater embrace. And when you reached for what was missing, you found the only love that never collapses, the eternal love of God. That absence wasn't abandonment, it was redirection. God knew that if you had been fully embraced by what was temporary, you would never hunger for what was eternal. You would have mistaken a cup for an ocean. So he allowed their love to be incomplete, not because you lacked value, but because you carried a calling too weighty to be sustained by human arms alone. Their distance kept you from inheriting chains you were born to break. Generational wounds, patterns of fear, cycles of anger, all of them were waiting to swallow you whole. But the rejection became your shield, the very wall that kept you from being drafted into wars that were never yours. Their inability to carry you was heaven's strategy to lift you. What looked like neglect was actually protection from contamination. And look at what that absence produced in you. Resilience, discernment, hunger for truth, an ear that learned to recognize the whispers of the Spirit. The protection was invisible, but it was constant. Every door that closed in your face was God's hand steering you away from traps you couldn't yet see. Every time you wondered, why not me? Why couldn't they love me? He was whispering, because I love you too much to let you settle here. That is why you are still standing. That is why, despite the pain, your light has not gone out. And here is the mystery that demands your attention now. If their distance was protection, what else is heaven protecting you from in this very moment? Stay with me, because the next revelation will turn what felt like your greatest loss into undeniable proof that you were chosen for more. Chosen one. Listen closely, because here lies one of the deepest mysteries of your life. The very pain that nearly broke you was secretly writing your credentials in the Spirit. Authority is not granted in classrooms, nor bought with gold, nor handed down by the applause of men. True spiritual authority is carved into the soul through suffering. And this is why your journey has felt so heavy, because heaven needed you to carry a weight that could not be imitated, only embodied. Every rejection you endured was not wasted. It became a seed. Each seed fell into the ground of your heart, watered by tears you thought no one saw. But heaven saw. God counted every drop, and with each tear, something sacred sprouted. Discernment, patience, compassion, unshakable faith. The pain was never random. It was agriculture. Your mission is the harvest. You wondered why your wounds cut deeper than most. Why betrayal from family stung longer than words from strangers. Why silence in the house echoed louder than noise in the world. It was because heaven designed those wounds to expand you, not to destroy you. Ordinary people can be kind when life is kind to them. But only those who have been starved of love can truly recognize hunger in another's eyes. Only those who have walked barefoot on shards of rejection can guide others safely across their own broken glass. This is the paradox. The wound you wanted erased is the very scar that qualifies you to speak life into others. Think of it. When you stand before someone who is bleeding from the same place you once bled, your words carry weight. They lean in because your eyes testify that you've been there. Your silence holds power because it carries survival. Your scars shine brighter than crowns because scars are proof of resurrection. You cannot fake survival. You either walked through fire or you didn't, and you, chosen one, walked through fire and came out carrying flame.
That is why heaven trusts you with souls.
That is why the Spirit whispers mysteries into your ear that others will never hear. Your wounds opened gates. Gates of wisdom, gates of perception, gates of compassion. They turned your heart into fertile soil where revelation could take root. Do you see it now? The rejection that once felt like poison has become medicine. It taught you not to judge quickly, because you know appearances deceive. It taught you to listen deeply because words often hide more than they reveal. It taught you to forgive, not because it was easy, but because you refused to let bitterness strangle your destiny. And each of these lessons became stones in the foundation of your authority. Authority to teach without arrogance. Authority to heal without judgment. Authority to love without conditions. But here lies the urgency. You must not hide your scars. Scars are not shame. They are signatures of survival. They are evidence stamped across your being that says, this one has endured and yet stands. If you cover them, others will never see that survival is possible. If you silence your story, others will remain trapped in theirs. What was withheld from you was never meant to cripple you. It was meant to awaken you. You were denied love in order to become love. You were denied validation in order to anchor your worth in heaven. You were denied comfort in order to become a comforter. And now, the very thing you thought disqualified you has become your mark of distinction. Your scars are not obstacles to your calling. They are the evidence that you were chosen for it. Every healed wound in your life is a throne where the Spirit now sits, speaking through you to those who suffer. Every heartbreak became a pulpit. Every lonely night became a scroll of revelation. That is why when you speak, atmospheres shift. You don't just talk, you release power. Because pain transmuted into purpose is the purest form of authority. But listen carefully. This authority carries a price. It sets you apart. It gives you weight in places others cannot stand. And just as your scars qualify you, they also mark you as dangerous to darkness. That's why the battles never stopped. Why the enemy fought so violently against your peace. Because your scars terrify him. He knows they are proof that you cannot be broken by what once destroyed you. He knows your authority cannot be bought or faked, because it was paid for in nights of tears and mornings of resilience. And now, here is the revelation that will keep you on the edge of your seat. The authority forged in your pain is about to be tested in a way you never expected. Heaven has prepared a stage where your scars will not only speak, they will ignite others. Stay with me, because in the next breath you will see how separation itself, the very thing you hated most, is about to reveal its true purpose in your destiny. Chosen one, let this truth pierce deeper than every lie you once believed. Separation was never a curse. It was a crown. The silence you felt around family tables, the absence of recognition in the eyes you longed for, the distance that wrapped itself around your heart, it all carried a divine fingerprint. You mistook it for abandonment, but heaven called it consecration. You were not left out because you were unworthy. You were set apart because you were extraordinary. From the beginning of time, those chosen to carry light into dark places, have walked a path of isolation. Prophets were dismissed in their own villages. Messengers were mocked in their own households. Even Christ himself said, "A prophet is not without honor except in his own home." What you lived was not personal rejection. It was the ancient pattern of election unfolding again in you. Think of separation not as exile, but as curriculum, a sacred classroom where no one clapped, no one affirmed, no one held your hand, and yet your spirit grew sharper, stronger, more resilient. Faith is never forged in applause. It is hammered into shape in silence, and your silence has been holy ground. In that silence you discovered endurance. In that silence you learned how to pray when no one stood beside you. In that silence you uncovered strength you didn't know you carried. Others confuse belonging with safety, but you have learned the paradox. The safest place for the chosen is often the loneliest place for the soul. Because in loneliness, no voice but God's can guide you. Hear this. You were removed, not rejected. You were separated, not forgotten. The pull away from familiar circles was not to punish you, but to protect what was planted in you. If you had been fully embraced by the environment you were born into, the soil of your spirit would have been polluted. Cycles of envy, fear, tradition, and control would have wrapped around your destiny like weeds. So God did what only He could do. He pulled you out. Like a gardener lifting a rare seedling from cramped soil into a larger field, He transplants His chosen into spaces where they can expand. The pain of being uprooted was real, but it was necessary. You were never designed to bloom in shallow ground, and while you wrestled with questions, why don't I belong? Why can't I be accepted like the others? Heaven whispered, because you do not carry their assignment. You are called to carry revelation, to break patterns, to ignite faith where none existed. That mantle demands separation. It demands a thinning of your circle so your roots grow deeper into God instead of wider into man. Your loneliness was not punishment, it was preparation. Your tears were not wasted, they were irrigation. Every sleepless night, every unanswered call, every cold shoulder was heaven chiseling away every false anchor until all that remained was the unshakable truth. You are chosen. And chosen ones walk a narrow road. But let me tell you something more urgent. Separation is a test, but it is also a seal. It proves to heaven and to hell that you are untouchable property. It signals that your assignment is too precious to be diluted by the crowd. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to stand out. And when the day comes that the world finally recognizes what heaven has always known, your separation will become your evidence. They will ask, "How did you survive without support?" And your answer will carry authority. Because I was never alone. God Himself was my company. So take heart in this mystery. Every door that shut you out was actually heaven locking you in with Him. Every circle that excluded you was God drawing a circle around you. Every separation was proof that your life is not random. It is prophetic. And here is the tension that will carry you forward. The very caves where you wept in secret are about to become the stages where you shine in glory. Stay close, because what comes next will reveal how this separation was not the end of your story. It was the opening of your destiny. Chosen one, widen your field of vision and feel the shift, where the house you were born into withheld embrace. Heaven has already appointed a house you were born for. There is a people prepared for you, not by bloodlines, but by spirit lines. Souls who will recognize you without introductions, because your resonance matches their assignment. With them, you will not be asked to dim, explain, or apologize. With them, your light will feel like daylight, natural and welcomed. This is the promise of spiritual family. Covenant hearts that honor what God placed in you. Leaders who do not compete with your growth. Companions who intercede when you grow weary. And builders who carry blueprints compatible with yours. Notice the precision. Your hunger for genuine love, sharpened by lack, has trained your discernment. You now read atmospheres, not just faces. You hear motives, not just words. You feel alignment in your chest before your mind can form a sentence. When destiny connections arrive, peace will arrive with them. Deep, clean, unforced peace. Doors will open in ways that require no manipulation. Conversations will feel like steps on a staircase God designed. Timing will click. Provision will meet purpose. You will recognize them by the fruit. Humility, excellence, accountability, joy. They celebrate your calling without needing to control it. They correct you without trying to crush you. They protect access to you because they understand the weight you carry. With spiritual family, your gift stops surviving and starts multiplying. Your ideas stop floating and begin landing. Your pace shifts from exhaustion to momentum. You will notice holy patterns, confirmations in prayer, scriptures that multiple people receive on the same day, dreams that stitch together like one story told through many vessels. You will see how the Father redeems the ache you carried for years. He does not erase your desire to belong. He fulfills it with belonging that cannot be stolen. Understand this urgency. Do not glue yourself to counterfeits while heaven is delivering the authentic. Counterfeits flatter without covering, promise without presence, gather around your oil but abandon you in the press. The authentic will do the opposite. They will stand in the press. They will add structure to your anointing. They will call out the future when you feel trapped in the present. They will not compete with your voice. They will harmonize with it. They will not drain your faith. They will amplify it. And you, in turn, will become that same shelter for them. Iron sharpening iron, honor birthing acceleration, unity commanding blessing. Watch how God redeems even geography. Places that once felt hostile will become birthing rooms because of who stands beside you. Watch how old labels fall off when new names are spoken over you by those who see as heaven sees. Watch how the loneliness that used to paralyze you becomes fuel for intercession that shakes rooms. This is destiny in community. Your assignment ceases to be heavy because it is carried by many shoulders. Your testimony ceases to be isolated because it is woven into a tapestry of victories. And here is the sign you must not ignore. When the right ones arrive, your spirit will exhale. You will not feel the itch to prove, sell, or convince. You will sense rest, yet not stagnation. Stretching, yet not strain. Clarity, yet not control. Covenant will replace guessing. Purpose will replace performing. Love will replace longing. And just when your heart settles into the reality that you are finally seen, heaven will unveil the next layer. Why this family was gathered around you now. At this precise hour, because the door you could never open alone is about to swing wide. And the name written on it is your calling fully alive. Chosen one. Hear this with the weight it deserves. You were never unloved. You were hidden. You were never abandoned. You were preserved. You were never discarded. You were redirected. The arms that failed to hold you could never contain the magnitude of your spirit. The eyes that refused to see you were never calibrated for eternal light. The love you craved was not denied. It was reserved. Reserved for a higher dimension. Reserved for a time such as this. Reserved for the one who called you before your first breath. Your family could not love you the way you needed, because your spirit was never meant to be confined to their limitations. You belong to eternity, not to their brokenness. Today, step out of guilt. Shake off shame. Lay down the heavy lie that you were somehow unworthy. You are not forgotten, you are sealed. You are not overlooked, you are chosen. You were set apart to shine where the world needs you most, in places their arms could never carry you, on paths their vision could never lead you. What they could not give you, heaven has already poured into you. The well they withheld was replaced by rivers that will never run dry. And nothing, listen carefully, nothing. Not rejection, not silence, not abandonment, not the weight of every unanswered question. Nothing can erase your worth. You are chosen, you are sealed, you are sent. The mantle is on you, the mark is on you, and the fire is in you. The world has been waiting for the glow that their absence unlocked. So rise now, not as a victim of rejection, but as proof that separation creates destiny. Seal this truth in your spirit. Write in the comments, "I am chosen." Declare it with boldness, not only for yourself, but for every soul still trapped in the lie of unworthiness. Share this message because someone else's awakening is tied to your courage. Chosen one, stand tall. Stand radiant. Stand unstoppable. The same spirit that preserved you will now propel you. The silence of yesterday is about to become the thunder of your tomorrow. And the world will know you were chosen from the start.